Well,
batting around by press play.
That was the most disturbing thing I've seen in a while. And by a while, I mean a day because of the Super Bowl.
And on that note,
it's been a good 24 hours, I guess. So I was due.
So now I wanted to show you real quick. I don't know. Here, I don't know if I should stop it and then start a new one or just go with it.
Go with it.
Go with it. Okay.
Go with it.
Well, it's going to show how on our, I'm just going to go with it. So, hey guys, here's our YouTube.
Yeah, I love baby.
So when you go to your videos,
look at those.
Oh wait, 28 subscribers, eh?
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah!
That's 2 more than the last time I saw it. Woo woo!
So in the last 24 hours, we have tried twice to where's my fingers pointing? Twice to bring to you a Super Bowl episode. First time, very clever. The word on the weekend, right? Second time, more generic, because our first time we got partially blocked, but it didn't initially look like this. Initially, it was just hidden to other channels, and on our side, it was still showing as like totally public up until Tootie and I started texting about it, and then it changed. Coincidentally, I guess. But so anyways, now that it does have these, and I have screenshots where maybe I'll edit that into here. Star swipe. And star swipe. Hello, friends, and thumbs down guy. So we're going to recap real quick what happened the first time that we tried uploading this for you all. So I'm going to go ahead and share screen. All right. And I'm going to show my file info. Okay. So first time we tried uploading episode 20. I uploaded it at started uploading it late, like almost 9 o'clock. And so, or like 8:30 actually. And so it uploaded for a while, and then it had a processing period where it like converts to HD and all that kind of stuff. So the processing period was taking 36 minutes by 9:30. So it already been a half hour of processing time, but it was loaded. And then it was showing again at 9:30 that the processing was 100% complete. But then when I clicked on the video, it would say 0% of video processed, and would just kind of flip back and forth between that and pending. And again, this is at 9:30. And if you watch the video, it would say it's still processing. And it would just say still processing will begin shortly. And so this 9:37, so it's been almost 48 minutes now. That it was still processing. So usually for those who haven't uploaded to YouTube, depending on obviously on the size and file size and length of your video, the upload and process times can vary. But generally for shorter videos, it's like 3 to 5 minutes. For our bigger ones, there are an hour and a half. It takes maybe like 15 minutes to upload. So 48 minutes was certainly already giving me some concern of like, this is taking kind of long. What are they doing? Watching it? One would ask. So then I let Tootie know that our video had gotten taken down. And so this is our second try up there. But as far as like the timeline goes, for a long time, we just had this triangle with the alert, but it wasn't like the yellow public symbol that you have. There was just issues with it where it was not available. It was like being reviewed, and it said the current disability status may not be accurate. So it's public, but not for real. So everyone can see this video, except for maybe not. and again, this was already by, that was its status for it at 4:30 the next day on the 10th. So we were already trying to upload our second version of it the next day, and it still didn't have an exact reason for why there were being issues with our video at the time. So by this time, it had already been almost close to 24 hours, really, just 5 hours off, so like 20 hours. And so a little bit later, it finally did have the public visibility, but with the yellow sign, which means that there's an error or issue with it. So it said some data is currently unavailable for this video. As a result, the status may be inaccurate. So it still wasn't saying quite what was wrong with the video or why it was getting flagged. So, you know, our imaginations were left to decide. And then finally by 4:47 the next day, it finally, as we were uploading the second version, then it decided to suddenly update the visibility status to being partially blocked because of a copyright claim. So we uploaded the second version with a much more generic title and description and hashtags. And so the first time it uploaded much more quickly and went public. So it took about maybe 15 minutes or 10 minutes or so for it to upload and process the second time. But then, let's see if I can play this for you guys. Oh yeah. Oh, actually I want to show you this one first. Oh, just kidding. Actually, I did want to show you this one first.
Okay, so watch this. I'm on the Off the Mark podcast account. If I search for our podcast and go to our channel and go to our videos, it's there. It shows as public.
On my end.
And I can watch
sorry.
it.
It's okay.
Like it's totally
probably
normal. Like I would think I have a live video because it has the views and the hours ago and all that kind of stuff. But to then, if I switch account to my other one, look, it's not there. It's not there.
So this was in at 8:30ish in the morning. So at this point, all I knew is that our video, it didn't have that yellow public or copyright claim on it yet. All I knew is that when we were logged in as the Off the Mark podcast page, that it would show that our video was live and public, and that was the status, except for it did have like some issues with it where it started to update and say, you know, this info might not be accurate and those kinds of things. But when I looked at it from different channels, then it was quite apparent that our video wasn't being available publicly. So we get to see by 5:30 in real time, the video be removed in real time. So there it was. And then I clicked on it and it said NFL blocking, refresh the page, and it disappears. Voila. So, and let's see. So here it's showing a bit more from that evening. So as of the 9th, 2 hours or so after we had uploaded it, according to our Off the Mark page, it was still completely public on the video performance, even though it was already hiding. But from, so I was messaging Tootie after 11 or so that our video wasn't viewable from my other account and was trying to figure out. And when I logged into our Off the Mark podcast page, it just showed the status as public, that everything looked completely normal. There was no flags or issues apparent. And if I tried to click on the video from the recent view history from my other account, when I clicked on the video, it would just display this over it. This video contains content from NFL, who has blocked it in your country on copyright grounds. So even though I had viewed it from my other account right away when it was released, and comments are turned off on it. So even though it was in my view history and I had access to the link, you can actually view it if you clicked on it. But again, there was nothing signaling to that in our off the mark version. And just to give context, like there's other YouTube videos that have about the Super Bowl and Illuminati rumors and symbolism and that kind of stuff. So that alone shouldn't have triggered our video, you would think, and especially not so quickly for us to have finally had it up and live by a little after 9:30, and by 11:30 it was already removed from being publicly visible. Right, so we uploaded the second one right before 5 o'clock, and I got the announcement on my phone that it had released. And then you'll see I was watching the video, and then in the middle of my viewing by 5:30, so it had just gone public at 4:58. By 5:30, it interrupted in the middle of me watching that video and said, skipped one or more videos that weren't available, and just went to this random one that wasn't like on my watch list or anything. It just went to, I guess, whatever was like a popular video, but it just pulled out in the middle of me watching it and said, no, you can't do that within a half hour of it being live. So our second one, we were sure to, do more generic hashtags and stuff. So it got a lot more views more quickly. And again, in just 34 minutes of it. And that, by 5:36. So it was available at 5 o'clock, but by 5:30, it was still showing on the list. But if you clicked on the video, again, by 5:36, it would say the same thing of been blocked on NFL copyright grounds, even though we had all this generic stuff. So there was nothing signaling in the description or anything that should have flagged our video. There's a lot of reaction videos that people do for the Super Bowl and such. So that alone is surprising, and especially for them to be able to have that kind of response within a half hour, especially since we don't, it's not like we have a million views or something that we should be tripping their algorithms already. So yeah, and then by 5:37, then it was removed from our playlist. So this was on the off the mark. Okay, yeah. So now to find out what happened next. Star Sway.
We got 4 likes.
And-
nice.
and-
That's 7
and we're
likes
back.
altogether, bro.
Right? Put them together. And so when you click on the copyright claim, so like we can either like unpublish it and stuff, but it says see details. So here are the parts that they have issues with, which I did not expect. So this is new. This didn't show up initially when we had, for the last like whole hours of last night when I was like, what's going on with the thing? There was not this part. So this is new since we uploaded the second one.
Okay, go ahead.
So it's showing our copyright. Oh, I forgot this actually covers it. Okay. That it shows our copyright and summary and status. So our channel impact, the content ID claim on your video doesn't affect your channel. So this is not a copyright strike. So we're not affected. We didn't do anything wrong, actually. But
Turns
our turns out, but our visibility is partially blocked. So 68% of our audience measured by watch time can't view this video due to one or more of the content ID claims below. This table shows your video's visibility status. So currently in the United States specifically, only, it's blocked. So specifically in America, they don't want this video to be seen. And then it's also showing
I wonder why.
I wonder why. And they're also showing our monetization is ineligible. So we're not in trouble. We didn't do anything wrong. It's just that people only in America can't see it and we can't make money off of it.
Right.
And that's
I
not
don't care
even
about making money off of it, but it sucks.
right.
I feel like our audience is in America because we focus on American issues.
Right.
So
So
the whole rest of the audience is lost, you know. So whatever.
they don't care about us. Well,
fine.
maybe it's interesting. They're like, what are they up to? They're like, what's wrong with Americans? And then they watch our show and they're like, okay, they're on it.
Thank
There's
you,
a few.
Australia.
You're welcome. No, just kidding. These broads are our last hope. Oh, geez. We're in trouble. No, just kidding. No,
Yeah,
just kidding. There's a lot of patriots out there. Thank you, everyone, for all that you do. That's in the truth.
Please.
In the
Yeah.
truthers. But anyways, so what this shows us is that this is the content identified in our video that's listed below, along with detailed actions. So details actions. So like our actions include, we can trim out the segment. So just cut out these little minutes that they're going to show us, or we can dispute it, which we might, and maybe I'll record that. But it's so nice because it shows the impact on the video. So the first one that got flagged, right, was the opening ceremony for the London part of the International Olympics. I don't know if it's maybe because I didn't share the full screen and they can still see like the YouTube parts where the other people had it kind of like in a box in a picture. So I don't know if they recognize their own website on it. But the interesting thing is that they're not mad at the whole video. They're just mad at these little snippets of it.
At certain parts. Yeah.
At
So
certain parts.
They watched the entire video, obviously.
They must have, or their computers are very, very smart. Thank you, AI.
Right.
But it's interesting because it shows the impact on the video. So this part video cannot be monetized. It's not that it can't be viewed. It's just that this particular 2 minutes out of our hour-and-a-half video cannot be monetized. The second part is the Weeknd's full Pepsi part, and that cannot be seen or monetized. So this portion of these 2.5 minutes is why our entire video is getting flagged.
Is that the beginning of his performance?
It's the Smith song part.
No.
We're talking over it even, so it's not even like in full. And maybe
What
I'll
is it
even
called? No More Tears or something?
yeah, I think that's the one. And then the last video was the last year's Super Bowl from 2020, and this again can just not be monetized, but it's still
another minute or 30 seconds. It looks like it's only 30 seconds.
Yeah, so it's
or
just
a minute
like
and a half. A minute
and a half or 2.5 minutes for each of these about. So it's just little clips, and we played more of the video than that, so they weren't mad at the whole thing. So it makes you think maybe they're concerned about our commentary during those portions. And again, it's just that these two parts cannot be monetized, so we can't make money off of those portions. That's not yours. But this one is the part where we cannot be seen. So I'll go ahead and actually play the clips. And to give some context, though, real quick. So when you look like up at Weeknd Super Bowl reaction, right, tons of videos come up, and a lot of them are more than the 14 minute performance, you know, so like they're pausing it along, but they're showing the entire video in full, right? As much as we are. And see, look, it still has like a bit of the YouTube like channel features and stuff. So the copyright thing, like, and they have, you know, 22,000 views, 100,000 views. There's even these two ones, I guess maybe they have enough of a following where it does have this like special music licensing section, which I didn't have access to on our channel because we don't have like that many subscribers to have those kind of features yet to like insert. So I would have filled out this part if there was a place to. So I just put it in the description box of our video, but that wasn't enough to give credit to them. But then this channel, still 31.
Look at how many there are.
Yeah, still 31,000.
You know, DJ reacts. Like, who gives a shit? Like,
right.
Okay.
So all it is people watching the entire YouTube performance as essentially we were. And look, for this one, they don't even have like that music official section, but they just have the copyright disclaimer, which we put on ours.
The fair use, right? Okay.
So just saying, and they're doing the exact same thing where it's over, you know, the it's 15 minutes, so they're watching the entire video straight, right? And there's tons of them, right? Lots. So
do you think our time on the video and given the title have anything to do with it? Given that obviously if the video is more than an hour long, then we have something to say about the actual video. So that would be an automatic tag, or as opposed to the 15-minute reactions that they
well, the other one was like 20 minutes, so I don't think that's necessarily a nitpick, especially since like it's not alluding to that. It's saying these particular minutes certainly are the issue.
Right.
So granted that they didn't have the London opening or the 2020 one in them, but nevertheless, they included this 2.5 minute segment that we're featuring in ours on theirs, and they were not flagged, but we have 28 subscribers, and ours was taken down first time within an hour, the second time within maybe 40 minutes that it was removed.
Right. That a half an hour, I think.
Half an hour, maybe. Yeah. That we uploaded it again a second time because we're like, maybe I shouldn't put like ritual and Illuminati in my hashtags. Okay, so
right.
You got me, YouTube. Shame on me. Although, again, mind you, if you look up Weeknd, Super Bowl, Illuminati, how do you spell it? This is why I'm not. No, just kidding.
Well,
So they have Illuminati ritual. They have it's just because of the filter. So there's other like videos. This one has 1,500 views. Illuminati ritual. There's
Project Bluebeam. Oh my God.
Like they talk, this is the thing that they talk about. So for some reason, ours in particular were flagged. So here's the part that they didn't like about the London opening. So it plays just this, like, it has like a little rectangle around the section. And so we can watch it and we can decide, do we want to just eliminate it where I'll just cut it out from our thing? So here's what we offended. And so this is the complete London 2012 opening ceremony.
Oh, that voice.
We're going to start somewhere in the middles and play. Do you hear that too on your end?
I do, yeah. Could it be their national anthem?
Wonderfully done.
For that 2 seconds.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah.
So warm. And how nice to hear two verses.
We have our circle, separate pyramids. Staying like a Peter Pan thing. Second star to the right.
We move on to celebrate an institution which was founded the year of the last London Olympics in 1948.
No, that's the Exorcist music. By the way.
So you see, they're taking their
Veuillez accueillir
places.
Mike Oldfield, accompagné du personnel du National Health Service et de...
I don't understand why they're playing that song in the background because that's
Please welcome Mike Oldfield.
Yeah, and so it's the Exorcist while they're showing all these nurses and their nursing beds, and there's children in them. So it's a minute in, and that's the main thing that we've said so far. National Exorcist workers are the performers.
Well, certainly, as I was saying, very special.
It's like Inception. We're watching us. I haven't seen this since it originally aired.
You mean back in 2012 or since it started? Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, since 2012. I haven't seen it. I've only seen, the clips of...
Oldfield.
I keep thinking you're talking
things that we
the real you. Okay, yeah.
I'm so scared right now.
Dancing and looking after the children.
Every time I hear your voice, I'm like,
Look at that little smiley face with like the tear on it. Oh, gosh. Here's the other part.
Great Ormond Street Hospital. Gosh.
Go under the geometry of Grosh. Maybe we can look that up after. So that's the second part.
We have to look that up, huh?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3,
Oldfield
4,
plays
5.
Tubular Bells, which is a
Here's
huge
the third
hit for
part.
him.
So actually, for these initial ones, we'll watch the Weeknd one in full. So that's it. That this 2.5 minutes got flagged. So we still watch, you guys, the rest of the video. None of this was a concern. Not the like big you know, not the torch where we talk about Burning Man, and not the
zombie ladies,
zombie ladies,
and the syringe lady
with the giant syringe.
Look at them coming after the children. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So that part was fine. It's not the whole video. We even skipped through it. We're talking over it. So it's not like a straight copyright. We put the disclaimer of fair use that we're not using. It's not a monetized video to begin with. So I don't know why we're getting dinged we can't even qualify for monetization. So it's interesting that that's like getting pegged against us. But yeah, it was just that little clip. So what happened during that 2.5 minutes? You said the Exorcist music was playing.
That's it.
Behind them, but getting ushered in, and we said the gematria of gosh.
Right. That's it. Those are the only two things. Yeah.
That was the things that those other people probably don't have in their video.
So we obviously have to look up to we have to look up the gematria of gosh.
So next I'm going to skip to, So we'll do each of these first. So now let's check. I'm going to skip to the Shakira one because that was like the sequence that it was in our thing. So now we're going to watch this 1.5 minutes and we'll see what were they upset about for this one.
They have the circumpunct in the center, which is kind of like the eye and the iris and theory and so ties into all of that of our illumination again, and then the stage splits, kind of like how our country has been divided.
Wow.
And then this part. And then after that, the vaccine. Now we have all these vaccine zombies in our Great Reset digital matrix world. She climbs the pole. And then they always do their Christ mockery. So there she is, crucified on a cross, everybody dead below her.
Wow. Whoa.
And then with their vaccine magic, they rise and are resurrected again. And see how they're tied in like these bondage type outfits. And even her outfit is all mirror, but it's like fractured mirrors, like alluding to the illusion and deception. And all this green, you know, it's like that digital matrix, the technocracy that we'll get to be ruled under. And then here, again, the digital stuff.
It has to be the commentary.
So it's the digital stuff right there.
It's the commentary.
Yep, it's the commentary.
It's the commentary. There's no way in hell it's the video. There's no way in hell.
There's just like they had reaction videos of the Weeknd that many this year, they had that many last year for every, Super Bowl before, right? Since there's been reaction videos like this. So other people are having themselves like viewing these videos in similar ways. They're just not saying that's the vaccine and that's our digital matrix and the Great Reset over it. And there's a role for all of us. Wow. And that's where it cuts out, that's where, and now it's okay. The rest of the things we say, but that in particular, no. And we watched this entire thing, you guys. So like It goes through. It was fine me saying CERN. And all this part was fine. We cut out.
I thought those were going to be the parts that were going to get banned, to be honest.
Right?
Yeah.
But those aren't like the copyright part. So it's not because we're not on their channel. So we're not getting dinged for that, but it's something that's removing the whole video just because of these little minutes of. So we did go deeper into like we cut away from the video all throughout it. We're showing different websites and quotations and stuff like that. But
my theory is that they're allowed to do this is because they have, if we are suing, if we have the money to sue them over their bans and their removals, that they would have the case of being able to well obviously you use the copyright thing, you know what I mean, but at the same time, like, the fair use thing isn't isn't going to be a thing. But on top of that, libel maybe would be a thing that they can use, you know what I mean, like us potentially saying things that are untrue about certain artists or this and that would be a potential thing legally that they can use to sue us, hence them being able to ban us. But
are we wrong? We're doing an artistic expression.
We're not. That's my point. No, we're not at all.
We're seeing dancers and saying what we think they're symbolizing by their dancing.
Right. No, not at all. By any means. And again, legally, they would have no precedence, but they don't know that. We know that. So that's my thinking of them being able to ban us so easily, being that we don't even have a monetized channel yet. That's all.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's blocking the entire video for us now. So like, I don't know. Let's see if it shows, if I try to, no, here. Oh yeah, see, it's still listed down here because it's still
That's a good
available in
episode.
some places.
Simpsons episode's a good episode.
Right. So let's see. So if I try to play it, part of our normal. Okay, wait, no, it'll let me play it, but it won't let other people. I was going to see if it would show how
Let me
it
see if
says that it's blocked for
online,
the.
just in case, but I doubt it is.
Oops, I got out of my share screen.
It is not. But the new subscribers are there.
Okay, so now we're going to watch the Weeknd's part. So the piece de resistance that's making it so it cannot be seen or monetized. The reason why the NFL actually let me, well, no, because then it's going to do a thing. Well, I'll do it afterwards to show how the video displays as blocked, because I had watched it. It was released and uploaded and published publicly for a few minutes, for about an hour the first time when we did it last night. And so I had watched it on my usual account that's not this one. And so it was still in my recently viewed history. So when I clicked on the video again after it had already been removed, it would still pop up the link, but it just wouldn't play the video and had an NFL copyright notice over the video. So you couldn't play it at all because of this 2.5 minutes right now.
You can play it now.
If I select action and trim out this segment, then supposedly the video will go public. So this is what we're missing. So we have this black cloud rising again from the city. What's your favorite song?
I swear to when I heard this song, I was like, he's ripping off the Smiths.
I know, it's such a shame because it's like we're artists. We appreciate the fine arts. I would love to just watch a Super Bowl halftime show. That's where the video cut out on me when I was watching it. I didn't count how many rockets that was, but I'm sure that's where it just shut off.
I'm trying to figure out which city this resembles the most.
Okay, so there's the first part.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's it. It's all of them though. I see Chicago, I see Houston, I see LA. That's it.
So,
that has to be it.
Like a distinguished building for each of them, kind of. So it's almost like, it almost looks like across America. Maybe that, like up there, that Saturn symbol is like the Space Needle in Seattle.
Oh my God, or that.
Like this, so down here is like Texas area, and then like maybe it is showing across the U.S. Well, that looks more New York, I guess, than and here's LA. But maybe it could be downtown LA.
Wow.
No, right now.
The planet being there is so unnecessary. It's just so like, I mean, it's obviously Saturn, right?
Yeah.
Wow. No reason. It's crazy. It's an interesting thing to catch.
And he has his two-toned shoes. I wonder if they're red underneath. That's the third part.
Good. I was just about to say. I wonder. They're black and white, right?
Yeah.
Black and white shoes.
This is why our video cannot be seen. That it got taken down.
If they're red
First
under,
time
I
in
swear
an
I'm
hour.
gonna lose it.
Second time.
Okay,
in
it
30 minutes.
doesn't look like
Half
it.
an hour.
It took 30
Yeah,
minutes
look
to
like.
remove this video.
But you know, some things to look for whenever you're analyzing these type of videos or performances. It's one of their giveaways.
If any of it sounds oddball, please look it up. Why do they? What's up with the red bottoms? Why are they curious about his shoes? You know, these are interesting things to observe. But if you don't know what to look for, or if you don't understand why we're looking at this, look them up, because it's a lot. It's a lot of information, a lot of things to observe.
You see that? Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So you told them to look it up.
Holy crap. Holy crap, Kamiko. That's a lot. There was at least 3 of them, because not only did we have the shooting in Minneapolis the very next day, after the Super Bowl, we had that shooting in Minneapolis, and buildings that replicate Minneapolis, buildings in downtown Minneapolis, fine. But those buildings can also replicate any other city that you look up, which is fine. I can understand that part. But still, I was able to still look up the mass shooting in Minneapolis that had 5 people injured. I don't know if anybody passed away, but we did have our very first mass shooting of 2021 that's been on record in media in Minneapolis, Buffalo, exactly, Minnesota, right. Buffalo, Minnesota, just outside of Minneapolis. And there are definitely buildings in Minneapolis that resemble the buildings that were highlighted in the show of the Super Bowl that just happened the day before, predictive programming. And again, you can say that about any other city, which is fine, because we actually had to take screenshots of every other city that's been throughout the country, major city, and Minneapolis was not one that we chose. But we went with Chicago, we went with Houston, we went with LA, New York, we went with Detroit,
Florida.
We went with where in Florida?
Tampa. There was
that's right. We went with Tampa because of the Super Bowl, because the Super Bowl was there. That's right. Yeah. So I mean, so we looked up these silhouettes of the downtown areas of these cities, because this is what was resembled at the Super Bowl. At the Super Bowl, the opening part of the Super Bowl was Las Vegas. The last part of the last place we had a mass shooting was in Vegas. So, I mean, I don't mean to sound like a crazy person, but there's only so many coincidences you can have. Well, he had a music video that was displayed in Vegas. Fine. That's great. Who doesn't have a music video, whether you're in rap or rock or country, that's either based on someplace that has flashing lights that resembles Las Vegas? That's fine. Right. Do and say whatever you want. That's fine. That doesn't change the fact that he started a video in one place, being Vegas, and he ended the video, and he ended I guess it wouldn't be a video. He ended the performance in another place, being any other city you can actually think of. And you know what I think of when I look back and I see his performances with the red skies and this and that. If you have a Roku, your Roku screensaver is the destruction of Earth.
Oh yeah.
If you haven't seen the Roku screensaver lately, look it up, even on YouTube, even if you don't have a Roku.
Should we do that now?
Same exact red sky. Go ahead. I'm fine with that. Same red sky, destruction all over the place, things blowing up, ships sinking, King Kong destroying an area, aliens destroying another area, UFOs in other areas, and you see London, you see New York, you see San Francisco, and there's just, these things aren't by accident. That's my point. Is it may sound silly. It's fine. It sounds silly, but so did Men in Black. And if you look back at Men in Black, that there's one speech that he makes where it's like, 5 seconds ago you didn't even know that aliens exist, and now they do. And it's like, well, why don't you tell everybody that they exist? Well, because people are dumb and they're this and that, and they won't be able to understand. And that's fine. But if you ask me, people are not dumb. I think we do have the ability to understand things that are happening. So yeah, here we go. There it is. There's a alien UFO. Nobody can see me pointing, but there it is. There's a robot destroying a building.
We have the Space Needle.
The Empire State Building with a robot destroying it.
We have the Big Ben, just like the London thing was,
Big Ben being destroyed by a UFO.
They have Mary Poppins back there over Hollywood, but like the nanny state. Sorry, I'm talking over.
It's insane.
Yeah, they have the Titanic, which was the Federal Reserve taking. They have the volcano explosion, like the Ring of Fire, that's going to cause the tsunami for America.
This tower next to the volcano, next to the steam tower, looks exactly like the World Trade Center 1 or Tower 1 or whatever the hell they call it now. It also resembles several places in Chicago and Houston. This next building obviously resembles the same thing, with robots taking over.
and they have like the Emerald City and the pyramids behind it. So it's kind of, I don't know, but with the Emerald City, the Wizard of Oz is about our straw man and gold and silver and our tin number and stuff like that. So it's
And
interesting.
here we go.
that's,
Here
like,
comes
relevant to
Saturn.
the reset. Yep, there we go.
Here comes Saturn. Yep.
And even these like one-eyed face and the stars and the sun.
Right. One-eyed
worship and the
face.
chicken pun.
Yep. These are not coincidences. It's fine. The more you
And,
guys see it, the more you'll see it.
The barber thing with the candy cane pattern of the white and the blood was supposed to be like a sacrifice of the blood, like spiraling down. So that's like dual mean of the butcher and the scissors. That's what the Sweeney Todd, story is kind of alluding to and playing off of.
Ooh, the
Was that Alcatraz?
episodes. That's Alcatraz, yeah.
Was this
Obviously, the
Back to the
Francisco
Future,
Branch.
right?
Say it again.
Is this Back to the Future?
That's what it reminds me of, yeah. But I'm looking at the time, and does it say 9/11? No, but yeah.
Oh, the 9/11 thing was, I think, in the vehicle, and how they had the mall changed, how it went from like Twin Peaks to
Yeah.
one or something in the terrorist scene even. So yes.
It's just that's the thing. It's not once you see these things, these aren't things that you can unsee. Once they're out there, for everybody to see. And the more you see them, the more they stop becoming coincidence, which is why we want to put them out there for everybody to see them, because it's not about fear and making everybody afraid of this and that. It's simply just maybe to encourage you to turn your TV off, for one, and two, maybe just to start tuning into your own self-awareness and your own ability to believe in your own gut feelings, and be able to go back to primitive ideas of knowledge, as in picking up a book and picking up old school knowledge, because we're not going to find old knowledge on the internet. Knowledge on the internet has been misconstrued. If they can take the Bible and pervert it in the way that they've had, given that there's so many versions, and that's not to suggest that there's many versions of the Bible that are wrong, but there are things that have been eliminated from history, from the Bible, just from things in general, just by man being able to manipulate things. That's always been a part of history. Don't act like that it's not a part of history now, simply because technology has been better. In fact, the idea to withhold history has become better because technology has become advanced. So we have to understand that our responsibility is to make sure that news comes from us, that we are able to look it up ourselves, as opposed to just letting somebody sit there and tell us what to think and what to idea and what to feel. Because if that was the case, if 9/11 happened now, the government would tell us, oh, don't worry, it's because this and this happened and China did this and it was a mistake and this and that. So don't worry, we're fine. And we would totally believe it.
Like, oh, good. Whew.
The second 9/11 happened, and I'm sorry that we continue to go back to it, but this is the most tragic, most historic, most prominent historic thing that we've ever had, aside from mass shootings, aside from the COVID virus. This is the one prominent thing that we've had that actually changed our idea and our idea of us being safe in our country. That was
Right.
number one. This was the icebreaker upon everything else to change us from thinking that we've been safe this entire time. So this is why we continuously go back to 9/11. This is why they continuously tell us to never forget, never forget.
Right.
And at the same time,
They want to relive that trauma.
letting us, at the same time, if you sit there and either bring it up at the wrong time, you're either banned or you're
Right.
triggered or there's something wrong with you or you're a conspiracy theorist. No,
Right.
it's not about remembering. It's about feeding into an agenda and a narrative that they want you to fit into, as opposed to free thinking about this. It's not about 9/11 being an inside job. We're beyond that. Whatever everybody thinks, 9/11 happened many years ago. Whatever anybody thinks about it at this point, they will never change their mind. That's fine.
Right.
We will leave it defined as it is, no matter what you're thought of, no matter what you think of it. That this is the free speech of America. This is the free thought of America. Think what you want. But at the same time, every single person that has experienced 9/11 understands that there was nothing right about that incident, that incident was only there to instill fear, whether it be from overseas or whether it be through our own people. So either way, things changed. either way, when 9/11 happened, there was no going back. There was only
Right.
moving forward, which again, may I remind you, they call progression. They call being progressive. Moving forward and being progressive are not the same thing, not one bit. So we have to remain vigilant. We have to remain aware as to what we're seeing and what we're being criticized to see. Be it COVID in 2012 through the London videos, be it 9/11 through the Simpsons episode that came out in 1997. I don't give a crap how you want to see these things. The fact is, these things do happen. These things have happened, and they have been predicted, and maybe not predicted, but they have been put out and filtered through us subconsciously, where we can sit there and be like, oh, you know what? Bummer, but I have to accept it now.
Right.
And that shouldn't be what TV is about, or that shouldn't be what the government is about, is to lead us to accepting things as to what they are, lead us to assume that we're not capable of taking care of ourselves and our own health and our own minds and this and that. So granted, there are several departments, the FCC, the CDC, the World Health Organization. There are specific departments that sit there and try to help us govern how we view things and and that's fine. That's fine. In order to bring in, panic and to rear in hysteria and to rear in radical ideas that do not necessarily fit with the narrative, but at the same time fit with the idea that communal living can exist. But communal living does not exist by double masking ourselves and thinking that this is okay. Like, can you hear me? You can't communicate with two masks on your face. You can't do that. And the entire idea of the human race, whether it be evolutionary or through creation, has been tribal, has been that we only thrive through being able to communicate with each other. Hence the Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel was a lesson to a lot of people that only taught the importance of being able to communicate with each other. And there was only one way to communicate, and that is through true unity. Mm-hmm. Through true God-given ideas of being able to survive as a human race, not as separate people. Those people were not given the advantage of being able to communicate with each other because they were separated by language. They were divided by language. Similar to the same way we're divided by race, the way they say we are, which we're not. We let them we sit them convince them that we are divided by race. If I was divided by race, I wouldn't be sitting here with Kamiko right now. Oh, I can't talk to you, bro. I'm sorry.
With our imaginary borders, and we have all shades and nationalities and ethnicities of people on all sides now, but they still want to give this illusion of them and us, and this is mine and that's yours, and there's not enough, and like the world's a pie rather than a garden. Like, you tend to it, it'll produce more than enough.
Right. Exactly.
Or even if you do nothing, just don't hurt it and it'll do stuff.
Thank you. Exactly. Even if you sit there and you put your arms behind your head, that I agree. In a sense. Yeah, I agree. So long as you're not sitting there trying to hurt the garden, but at the same time, there's only a matter of time when you can sit there with your hands behind your head, and you're not going to end up hurting the garden because they take work. Everything takes a village. So good point. I think that's amazing. I think it's good
and being like. There's that quote that in everything that we do, we should do it with mindfulness of the next 7 generations. And it's evident of who we're not taking care of in this pandemic situation, as much as, we're concerned about businesses closing and people losing their jobs. And there's been this whole slogan of save grandma and stuff like that, mask up for grandma and all that. The elderly have been the most affected by the pandemic, especially in nursing homes, especially in places where they were horrifically mismanaged, like in New York. And a lot of them have been dying from isolation, sooner than they would have had they had contact from their families. A lot of them have lost their will to live, that they don't really see what's the point in drawing on for another 10, 15 years, even if they can, in the whatever state of health they're able to manage. Is it worth taking all these pills? Is it worth being hooked up to this or that for what now? So we're not considering them. And then the children, pulled them out of school, pulled them out of their social and educational, structures. And, if you homeschool and you're able to do that, then amazing. If you, have a wonderful school, like public school or private school or whatever experience, then amazing. But they haven't been able to do that this year for a lot of children. School was a safe haven that, outside of the home, there has been lots of rises in domestic and child abuse during this time. There's been a lot more people that have children and minors that have been affected by predators because we are on our devices all day, and it is harder for parents, I guess, to monitor that all day if they're on their own. They're working on their device doing work, and the child's supposed to be doing their thing, but then they're on Facebook talking to whoever, and they meet up, and like the people are needing to connect. So, and then with even the infants, the babies have had an entire year. All the babies born this last year have had an entire year of going out into the world and seeing everyone masked. How are they going to learn what human expression is? How are they going to learn like the generation of these poor children? And then from double masking and beyond this, like what are those children going to be like when they're adults? We think we have a hard time, relating and socializing now. Like, oh my God, Zoom dating? Are you kidding me? Like, what is our next generation going to be? We're missing a whole year of people, like mating seasons, like our nations are dependent on the families and this continuing. There's a great C.S. Lewis quote of like, what is the purpose for like the railroads and the refineries and all this, if not for everybody to be able to come home and be warm and safe in their homes at the end of the day? So that like the homemaker is the job that's most important of all, because that's what everybody's craving from their day, is to just be warm and safe in their homes. And everything else that we do just allows for each of us to have a bit of safe at home in our day.
Yep, I agree.
Real quick though, I did want to touch on the gematria of Gosh. So there's different generators, websites, and I'm still like deciding which one I think gives the best read. And you kind of have to like take it with a grain of salt again. But basically each letter of the alphabet has a numeric correlation or value. And, God is a mathematician, Waters and numerology, they each have their own like, I don't know, dynamic that they bring, or energy that they hold. And so words can then have overlapping qualities that they add up to. And there's different kinds of gematria. So there's the traditional Jewish gematria, then there's English, and then simplified gematria. But most people focus on the Jewish as being the most like the official or whatever, or
Is that because it's the oldest?
Yeah, the oldest. And then but English has some correlations too, because English is a very magical language. There's a reason why there's been such a push for it to be spoken all over the world, compared to other languages as well. And there's stories of Rudolf Steiner, who invented the concept of Waldorf, and which is a like educational program or system of child rearing. They're very careful in their approach to teaching the English language to children, because they say, similar to when the natives were approached with English, that they saw the settlers as snakes with split tongues, that they were able to say one word but mean another. And that facet didn't exist in other languages. That's something like unique to English. How
English is one of those languages that does that. Yeah.
That you can lie.
Or
be misleading or deceptive, or omit the truth in odd ways that you can't in other languages. How it's more just descriptive of what is. So even the concept of zero and what isn't puts into like this nebulous kind of world. And it is a space, it is its own value in a sense by not being one, but it also kind of mends things. It creates that circuit of the cycle. So the numbers are 1 to 9, but that 0 adding on is what makes that 1 a 10, and then creates the spiral. So it's kind of like that, like battery generator thing. So for Gosh, as we were seeing in the London opening in the beginning, like what a funny word to start with. It's not, it's not relevant to the Peter Pan story in particular. And like the child even had a little tear.
Oh, you muted yourself. There you go.
Oh, whoops. And so gosh, like obviously it's similar to God, but even in the gematria values, so the first column, it'll just list the gematria ones, and then it says that for
Left.
each. So there's some like overlap. So like God of the Bible, if you were to add it all up, it just so happens to have the same 155 gematria as gosh. But then if you were to add up these letters in the English system, it would be 462, not 294. And then if you were to add it up in simple. So this column is just showing all the Jewish ones of it matches according to the Jewish add up. If it were to match in multiple columns, then that just shows more and more of its like resonance or similarity to each other. So that's kind of like how it does these circles. So it just like how there's word families and letter families that have like duh and tuh are similar, things like that. It's the same thing with these, how the gematria of it kind of be a family of energetics. So it doesn't mean necessarily that because gosh says Ishmael, or if it says the devil, it doesn't mean like it's exactly that. Or if you typed in your name for gematria and it says the devil in that, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're one and the same with that. It just means that there's some of these overlapping energies and influences that are shared of a dynamic of these like entities of what is beauty, of what is science, like that energetic hold. So some of the words for gosh are God of the Bible, Athena, open, science, Ishmael, lemonade, no, Melissa.
Derecho means left, by the way.
Oh yes, left. Interesting.
Darling.
Black, pink. That's interesting. Like with the Me Too and the black square type stuff.
Bob Iger? Are you kidding me?
Oh yeah, with him resigning in 2020. So that's maybe another thing that's alluding to in the. And that's funny because even Peter Pan and like being a Disney film and stuff like that. So that's a little.
Bob Iger, Adam Schiff, holy balls, emails alluding to the Uma and the Hillary and Hunter Biden and Joe Biden and God, who else?
And hand in hand, we can't touch hands right now.
Wow.
Kipling, that's Rudyard Kipling, the Jungle Book, right? Let's see, linear. So maybe that's having to do something with like the Great Conjunction and the paradigms. There's some words that like repeat a lot that I need to research more.
AJC, that's an interesting one. Is this English?
And then now we're in the English side, and we could like load more results, but we'll just do kind of like the tops of each. But yeah, this has like Lord. It has a lot of like numbers, sign 9, 7 days.
12/7/76. So who was born on 12/7/76? That's interesting.
Oh yeah, that's weird. There's a lot of gematria about December 7th. And I don't know the significance yet. Well, I mean, is that Pearl Harbor? No.
No, that was June 6th.
No. It
Pearl Harbor was not. Yeah, that was D-Day. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, Pearl Harbor was 12/7 41 or 40. I forgot. I think it was because I remember it was like yeah. So anyways, they also have I Am God, Adam, 5G. Huh? How about that one? See, also Endgame, Global. What was another one I thought of? It had Karen in here too, so that's interesting because it had like so many Karen. Oh, undead and alive. Day sign I decoded. So it's just interesting. So I'm not a master gematron, but it's something that you can start to see patterns and correlations, and it's one of the languages that they use. So when you start to note it and check it, you'll kind of see how things might tie together. But yeah, so we just wanted to, we wanted to bring everyone the Super Bowl, the word on the weekend, and there's lots of goodies in that cast that we share. So what we're going to do, because YouTube is mad at us, actually, should we even try this? Should we try doing that, select the actions and see if it'll make the video public on while we're here?
You want to try to do it again?
Well, no, not uploading it, but doing the actions. See how it's saying, so we're in trouble, but here's what you can do. You can dispute it and say no, or you can trim out the segment. So here's the second one that we uploaded anyway. So we still have the first one, that original one in full on here, even though it's also blocked. But we can trim out the segment and see what that does if it lets us make it live. I'm gonna do it.
If you're trying, are you trying to relaunch it live now?
Yeah, I just asked if
Okay.
it was, yeah. Well, we'll
I
see
will
what
let
it,
you know if it I mean,
we can experience this together. Well, it's not going to go necessarily live right this second while we're recording.
it did
but
last time.
Okay. We'll see what its process is, because I don't know if they have to like review it after we cut the segment. So let's see. It's like letting us edit it, but I'm just gonna because we have the other version.
For sure.
They trim, so ready to trim. This process might take a while. After a video has been trimmed, we'll update any viewing or monetization restrictions. The video will remain in its current state until this process is complete. So we're just gonna trim it and go to the next one. Oops, unavailable while video is processing. So you can only trim them once at a time. Actually, I should have selected the other one then to see if it would let it. I wish I could go back. Let's try it on the other one maybe. Because that one's processing. So let's see, because this one has the same restrictions. Oh wait, so you have to go back. So copyright claim, see details.
I'm on it on my TV and on my phone.
Well, it's
Thank you.
processing right now, so it's not gonna like load this second while we're
Yeah.
But what it won't let me while we're processing it all. So we have to wait either way. But what I wanted to see is if it would let it go live if we just took out the middle one where it says cannot be seen and they just had the monetization restriction, or if it would still pretend that it was partially blocked. By accidentally remove the first part, the London part first.
I guess.
Because see, this one is the only one that says seen. This just says cannot be
yeah.
monetized. This cannot be monetized. So I was going to remove this one first and see if just removing this segment would
I
make
agree.
it overall.
Baby steps. Yep.
But this one I clicked first. So after it's done removing this section, then we'll try removing this one. But anyways, it's still processing. So I'll have to do it off camera. But I just wanted to see what it would do. Maybe I'll still record after we let them go. So anything else you want to close with?
No, I think, well, here's what I'll say is if they're going to continuously take us off and ban us, given that we're not even monetized, we don't have the biggest following, on YouTube by any means, that must mean we're saying something that they don't want us to say. And that puts me on the right track. That means that I'm pumped, man. Shit like this puts me in a better mood. It doesn't put me in a worse mood. It encourages me to understand that if they're sitting there trying to hide it, it's not because, well, we're not sitting here and telling anybody to harm anybody. We're not even doing anything of the means. So, it's not like they're doing it because, they think we're violent or they think we're going to like make things happen. Well, maybe that's it. Maybe they think we're going to make things happen, but it has nothing to do with the fact that we're going to, what is it called? The erection, that thing. We're not going to do that again. We're not going to incite an erection again, you guys. Okay? I promise.
Scout's honor.
Ban the erections. Seriously, like
cancel erections.
Cancel all erections.
For 2021. That's the goal.
I mean, you know what I mean? Anyway, I digress. But we're on the
and people might think like, well, then what's the point? Like that, the time and effort and energy to do it just to get knocked off again. Well, the mere fact that first one, masochism. No, just kidding. Second, it's all the more reason why we have to do it, because maybe like oh, bummer, we got deplatformed. I have to upload another video, or I have to do another recorded video where I take people through the whole process and complain about it to them. But maybe we have to do that. But our next generation, you know, like our kids aren't going to have this luxury of just having a video taken down.
Right.
You know, like they won't be able to have their basic and essential needs met without following suit into the madness. So if we don't talk out against the madness now, we won't have a chance to later, you know. And if we had started talking about it 5-10 years ago, hey, even at 2 weeks to stop the spread, that would have been nice to have some conversations back then. But we're here now, so we have to have the conversations that are present to the here and now.
Right.
But just because we're so far left field, like we took a very wrong turn, and it's going to take a while to get back on track, but it doesn't mean that we just keep, well, I'm on this highway, let's just see where this leads now, because it's not leading towards home. You're off track. You know where your home is. It goes back that way. You know, you might end up somewhere, sure, but it's not going to where your stuff is.
Right. The end result, the end all be all is strictly just to continuously thought provoke, and not in a negative sense, but at the same time, everybody needs to be self-aware, everybody needs to be communally aware, and we need to be aware as a society, because I didn't want to make this a podcast where we're going to sit there and we live in a society where, and I didn't want to be one of those, you know what I mean? And I don't think we're one of those. I think we bring things as real as possible. We do bring some crazy along with it, but at the same time, we're not bringing anything that's not truthful. You know what I mean? It's not like these things that we're saying are completely indisputable as coincidence. I don't care how many times people can call me crazy. It only tells me that they're in denial as to what is actually reality, which is fine. And you know, again, that's fine. It's the only way that's going to change, where it's going to actually convince me, is when we actually completely 100% turn into a Twilight Zone industry or civilization. Or okay, okay, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Simpsons episode that na leader, na leader. That's what it reminds me of.
You're free to leave at any time.
Right?
Oh, where are you going?
Exactly. But where are you going? Oh, where are you going? Yeah, that's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of the leader episode of the Simpsons. Well, you're free to think what you want, but at the same time, where are you going though? What do you think you're doing there? So, fine. I will be crazy enough to leave the cult. That's fine with me. And I think we've both come to terms with that. We've kind of been that way, and we've been the black sheep for the last couple of years. It's only been a little bit more prominent because, you know, time is of the essence now, and, you know, we're running out of it, you know, and given things aren't going to change overnight. And here's the thing, they might, which kind of sucks, which is kind of something that we have to kind of consider. So this is why we put these things out there so prominently the way we do. But we don't actually expect things to change overnight. We expect things to change over the next 9 to 10 years, the way they have been for the last 9 to 10 years, which is what we've been seeing, which is why we're so prominent about what we're seeing, about what we're seeing now, is because these patterns stopped being coincidence. And it was enough for us to be like, dude, I think it's time for me and you. And we're two broads, bro. We're two single women. You know, we're as vulnerable as they come, and we're sitting there putting our necks out there trying to tell you what's what. Not because we think we're right, not because we want to bitch at everybody, not because, you know, we want to be self-righteous, simply because we understand that in our gut something isn't right, and we want to sit there and distribute with actual intent and with actual knowledge and information and research as to what isn't right in the world. And with that comes more and more coincidence. And the more and more you see coincidence, the more you want to deny it. And if you're not going to deny it, you're going to actually acknowledge it. I think that's why we're growing a little bit more, you know, the way we are, is because there's more and more people seeing it, and there's more and more people seeing it, and through our eyes, through people who, you know, have to live through it ourselves. You know, not everybody is a single mom, and not everybody is a minority that watches our show. But everybody is oppressed now. Everybody understands and recognizes where their set oppression lies, and fuck white privilege, and fuck everything else that everybody else wants to understand. Every single one of us is oppressed. There is no such if white privilege ever existed, it doesn't now.
Right.
And
The
if you're gonna sit there
GameStop thing was
and
to prove that like nobody's immune. Whoever
Right.
thinks that their horse is too high to fall.
Thank you. Exactly. Not one of us is immune to what is about to happen to us within the next 10 to 11 to 20 years. Agenda 2030 is a real thing. Go ahead and look it up. That's fine. Agenda 2030 is an itinerary as to what's going to happen now. And if you don't find coincidences in their plan for the 2030 agenda, which is what, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15 years away from now, like
2030 is 9 years away, unfortunately.
9 years away. 9 years away. Holy balls. You're
Bring it
right.
on this.
2021. 9 years away. You're not kidding. We have 9 years. We have 9 years.
And 9 is kind of like
together.
another sacred number, and so is 7 as well. So I wouldn't put it past them if it was almost like the Christmas song of like 5 golden rings for, you know.
Well, I've
like
always learned
if there's like it kind of like builds up and up of like they're like 9 masks on face.
We notice that they've worked in threes, 9 threes, 6s, obviously 6s, but yeah, 33, 3, 6, 9, 9, 11, 9, plus 9 plus 2 is 9, 10, 11. Well, I guess that's 11. That's not really. I was thinking it was 12, but it's not. But yeah.
And the funny thing about the 666 is that's actually the compounds for carbon. So it's basically carbon is like what all life form is made of. Yeah. So it's actually our the utmost like code of us in a sense. So the 666 in and of itself isn't something to be feared or avoided. It's just with more and more understanding of where that line draws of what is virtue, what are like if we were raised Christian we were in the Garden of Eden, and then Eve ate the apple. We knew of ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and then since then we were kicked out of the garden. So there's been a lot of interpretation of what that means. Some take it very literally, some just take it kind of like as mythologically. Some people take it to represent specific the alchemy of our own body and like the human condition that we're going through that it represents. So whatever that line that forbids us from being in like total balance and abundance, that are like our bodies, everything in nature like drives towards that that balance and that equal give and take, where it is able to produce an abundance of something more. So whatever's offsetting us from that balance, we need to correct. And we do that by, finding our space and discovering ourselves. So a lot of, there's a reason why the priests of old interpreted the Bible in such a way to not look at the stars, to not, read certain texts, and to have certain practices, and to not know thyself, because it limits you to a point where you had to go through them as a mediator between you and God. So this is part of our journey. And of course, like, who knows of all the information out there, what is part of the debate. There's a lot of criticism of the new age movement and yoga and all those things, that it's just also encouraging us to work with demons and to forget our Christhood and all of those things. Or so, you have to take it with a grain of salt as you're going. Like, we're all on our own personal spiritual journey of all the religions presented and what, resonates with us and feels true and virtuous. But, in the back of our minds, we do have that conscience that, like, part of us does know the right thing to do. It's just sometimes really hard to do it, and we also have that self-preservation thing where, like on the show Supernatural, I love how they had the storyline of the angels not being unequivocally good, that they were, they were good to such a point of being like disastrous to humans. So it's showing that even virtue in some ways can be self-sacrificing. So if our first task or mission of self-preservation, then that means in some instances, does that mean you have to bend your virtue in order to sustain your life? you know, and part of that is just reflective of the society that we find ourselves in today, of having to like work jobs that go against our spirit and say things that we don't necessarily mean and eat things that we don't necessarily want for our bodies, just because that's the conditioning and what's available to us in that moment. But
I think
yeah,
I think
right.
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Is that it brings the angels down to a humanistic level, to where they can actually relate to us and we can relate to them. But that on that same coin, that if you don't interpret it that way, where the angels are being brought down to the earthly level, you can take it up to another level where we're actually equivalent to God, you know, or to those of a celestial or heavenly nature, you know. So
Yeah.
we either we're equal to them or they're equal to us.
Yeah, and
But
I wasn't necessarily saying it as angels being, although that's like a wonderful interpretation of it too. I wasn't necessarily saying the angels coming down necessarily, but just that like virtue can be such a, like it could be so good that it destroys you in a sense, you know?
right. Okay. Yeah.
So like you have to draw your own line of like, I want to be my utmost good, but am I ready to die in this moment? Is that what is the utmost good? Should I like what is the highest good? Because what might seem good in one moment, if it's going to kill you and you won't be here to help someone else the next, like the highest good was for you to sin a little, maybe, I don't know how it works, but to be here for the next moment. And even sin is an interesting concept because it's actually an archery term, which means to miss the mark. So sin doesn't in and of itself mean that you're bad or wrong or cast out from source or an existence or are no longer loved by your creator. It just means that you missed the mark. You're off balance and you need to correct that. So
Right.
it's just,
And
so
sin is
sins are
usually
just invitations for redemption in
for
a
growing.
sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I agree. 100%.
But we do have our conscience, and even though it's our daily invitation and struggle to listen to it and do our best to be our best selves, we can't just completely dismiss that. And I think that's what this current culture and society is training us to do, whether it's through the vaccine. Who knows what, if that's like the implication of that. Maybe people do lose that little voice in their heads that gives them their common sense. There was a lot of criticism of the vaccine during its development, of showing how there was people during the test trials that were saying like, I can't feel God anymore. Like I can't, so, and there's been videos of CIA people who were hired back around 9/11 to identify the part of the brain that experiences religious extremism. And the person was hired with the presumption that they were finding the part of the brain so that they could create a special injection that would impede that part of the brain. So that way it could prevent all these radical Islamics that were wanting to like crash planes into our building. So it could help them not be so extreme about God to the point that they can't function or could be dangerous to other people. So the people who were studying this and developing it were thinking they were doing it for our highest good, that we're going to prevent people being so psychotic about God that they kill others. But what they found was the part of our brain that connects and identifies and feels God, which means that the government now knew how to target that particular place. And there's been a lot of videos and information and stuff circulating through the course of this COVID of how the vaccine is affecting that particular part. And, we talk a lot about our pineal glands and how that through a lot of the practices from stress and fluoride, that it calcifies and closes like a closed pine cone, but that when it's in its full grandeur, that it opens up. And that's when we're like able to be fully illuminated or connected. And another interpretation in the syncretism is that angels are actually angles of light shining from. So, and the sun is not just like light as far as like brightness, but it's illumination as in light codes of information. That's like when the sun gives light to the plants and the plants are able to grow and do their their chlorophyll thing, and then we eat the plants. Then we're not just eating like the fiber and the essence of that, we're eating the information that was taken from the sun, that was able to have experience of growing through the soil, that's able to learn all these elements of the light and the air and the water, and then it gives that information to us. And when we're eating products that are, you know, packaged foods and stuff from the grocery store, we're eating that light code, even though it's a dimmer code and maybe it's colored more of a rainbow instead of a more brilliant pure hue, and it has its like idols and characters and symbols and stuff on it and barcodes. And you know, like they say that children nowadays are able to a 5-year-old can easily identify 100 logos, but not 100, but maybe like 5 plants, you know, wild plants. So we're not reading nature the same way, and they're detaching us from that. And I know that was another tangent, but it's just, I guess just to piggyback off what you're saying of like, we are putting ourselves out there, and like, why do we do it? Because we do feel that it is the most important. It's for ourselves, that not only to self-express and be heard in a time when our voices are being silenced, and to that we value how precious that is to have this chance to speak now in the capacity that we do. So like, by all means, let's seize it and take it, because it's not guaranteed in the immediate future or long-term future if we don't fight for it and use our platforms and voices wisely. And we're also doing it for our children, because what their battles to face should we do nothing is going to be immensely worse than what we have to fight with now. And our children's children and humanity at large, you know, like, it's from no ego of like, this is how things are and let us tell you. It's like, you guys, something is very amiss, and won't somebody please think of the children?
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Please think of the children. Yeah, I agree. Diamond. That's a whole nother episode. But yeah, I agree. 100%. Yeah, you couldn't have said it better. We've done a whole lot of nothing, and you know, we're all out of ideas.
Let's do another of that first idea. More lockdowns, more masks.
2 of them.
Play the same song.
Right. It's been a whole year. It's been an entire year. Let's remember that. So anyway, with that being said, thank you so much. We didn't even do an introduction to this episode. It wasn't even supposed to be an episode, so bear with it.
We were just going to have a chat. I was just going to show you what it showed in the background, exactly. And we brought you along for the journey.
Yep, it's completely rando. Enjoy it. I'm so happy that you were able to dissect the points of disclaimer that they wanted to protest. So thank you so much for all your hard work. Once again, Miss Kali, you pulled it out of the park. Thank you. That was a beautiful home run.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening. And again, you guys stay vigilant, stay focused, continue to take notes. You know, that there's nothing more that we can do at this point, but to be our own news. You know, fine. Watch the news, do what you got to do. We do the same thing, but at the same time, we understand when to turn it off, and we understand when things are being put into our brains, as opposed to things that they're sitting there and then putting warning shots at us. And unfortunately, when you take the red pill, as we call it, once you see it, you can't unsee it. So if you start to want to unsee it, that's called cognitive dissonance. Don't let it take over you. You know, overtake it, because we're stronger than that. If
you're not alone, it may seem like you're alone immediately. Like, reach out, find your groups. They're out there. You're not alone.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're all in this together. We are. That's one thing the government got from this COVID thing from day one. We are absolutely 100% all in this together. We just have to be all on the same page. In order for all of us to be on the same page, we have to be absolutely 100% informed as to what they're doing to us, the American citizens, the people in this country, even non-American citizens. The people in this country we're sitting here suffering, whether it be through the bottom of the barrel child trafficking, to the top people being swindled through their millions of dollars, or whatever the situation is. Not one of us is safe. Not one of us is safe. And that's not to terrify you. It's just to inform you and to make you alert and vigilant as to what's going on. So again, with that being said, thank you again for watching, for listening. Thank you for dealing with the casualness of the impromptu episode. And stay vigilant. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Kali, thank you again. And you guys stay.
Thanks so much, Dee, for all you do. It's amazing. Yeah. Love you guys. Bye.